Here's what nobody tells you about surviving the Korean Mafia. Children see things adults have forgotten. And when Serafina's baby pointed at the man holding a gun to her head and squealed, "Dada!" Kang Ji-hoon, the White Tiger, Seoul's most feared crime lord, did something he'd never done before. He lowered his weapon. But here's where it gets crazy. That baby? He's Ji-hoon's nephew. The son of the brother Ji-hoon failed to save, and Serafina knows that when Ji-hoon figures it out, when he runs that DNA test, he'll either kill them both or never let them go. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next involves a penthouse prison, a shootout in a bulletproof SUV, and a marriage proposal from the most dangerous man in Asia. You do not want to miss this. No one survives kneeling before the White Tiger. But when Kian, barely 18 months old, still chubby with baby fat, pointed at Ji-hoon and squealed, "Dada! Dada!" with the kind of pure joy that only toddlers possess, something impossible happened. Ji-hoon's hand stilled on the trigger. Every enforcer in the room, 15 armed men who'd watched their boss execute people for less than breathing wrong, froze. Because they'd never seen this. The Don's face draining of color, his weapon lowering, his eyes locked on a child like he was seeing a ghost. "What did you say?" Ji-hoon's voice was barely a whisper. Kian just giggled, reaching for him with grabby hands, bouncing in Serafina's arms like this murderer was his favorite person in the world. Serafina's mind was screaming. He knows. He has to know. Those eyes. Kian has Taejin's eyes, and Ji-hoon sees it. "He's not yours." Ji-hoon's words were flat, but Serafina heard the razor wire underneath. She clutched Kian tighter, the lie ready on her tongue, the same lie she'd rehearsed for 18 months. "No. He's my nephew. My sister's boy." "And your sister?" "Dead. Car accident. I'm all he has." But, wait. Here's what makes this moment even more insane. Ji-hoon crouched down, bringing himself eye level with the child. And Kian? He grabbed Ji-hoon's face with both hands and laughed. Not scared. Not crying. Laughing. Like he recognized something in this killer that no one else could see. "Children don't lie," Ji-hoon murmured, his thumb tracing Kian's cheek with a gentleness that made every man in the room shift uncomfortably. "They see things we've forgotten how to see." Then Ji-hoon stood, and his voice turned to ice. "Take them to the East Wing. They don't leave the penthouse. No one touches them. No one even looks at them without my permission." One of his enforcers, a scar-faced man named Minho, stepped forward. "Boss, she's a witness. She knows about the Park family hit." Ji-hoon's fist connected with Minho's face before the man could finish. Blood sprayed. Minho's head snapped back. The sound of cartilage breaking echoed in the silence. "I didn't ask for your opinion." Ji-hoon turned back to Serafina, and for just a moment she saw past the monster. She saw confusion, maybe even fear. "You'll stay here until I figure this out." "Figure out what?" Her voice was steadier than she felt. "Why does my dead son know your baby?" And that right there, that dead son comment? We're coming back to that because Ji-hoon's past holds the key to everything that happens next. But I can't explain it yet without spoiling the twist. Keep watching. The penthouse was obscene, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River, furniture that cost more than most people's yearly salary, everything white, black, or glass, sterile and cold as the man who owned it. Serafina had been given the East Wing, a bedroom the size of her old apartment, a bathroom with a tub deep enough to drown in, and a nursery that appeared overnight, fully stocked with everything a baby could need. Kian loved it. He toddled across plush carpet, babbling nonsense, throwing designer toys. Serafina couldn't breathe. She was trapped. The windows were bulletproof, locked. The door had guards outside, not guards, executioners on standby. Her phone had been taken. She had no way to contact anyone. And yet, every evening, Ji-hoon came back. Here's where it gets crazy. The White Tiger, Seoul's most feared crime lord, would walk through that door, shed his blood-stained jacket, and get down on the floor to build block towers with Kian. He'd fed the baby sweet potato patiently when Kian smeared it all over his designer shirt. He'd sit in the nursery at night just watching Kian sleep. "You don't have to do this," Serafina said one night, finding Ji-hoon in the rocking chair with Kian dozing on his chest. "Do what?" "Pretend to care." Ji-hoon's eyes lifted to hers, and even in the dim glow of the nightlight they were devastating. "I'm not pretending." "Then what are you doing?" "Trying to remember what it feels like to be human." That's when he told her about his son. His voice was hollow, distant. "I had a son once. He'd be about Kian's age now. If he'd lived." Serafina's throat tightened. "What happened?" "Rival family. They planted a bomb in my wife's car. I wasn't supposed to survive either, but I was late that day. A meeting ran over." His smile was bitter, broken. "I built this empire on their ashes, killed every last one of them, hunted them across 3 countries. But it didn't bring my family back. I'm sorry. Don't be. I deserved it. That's what happens when you choose this life." "Then why do you still choose it?" "Because it's all I have left. Until..." He looked down at Kian, sleeping peacefully. "Until now." The silence stretched between them, heavy with things neither could say. Serafina broke it first. "He's not your son. You know that, right?" "I know." Ji-hoon stood carefully, carrying Kian to the crib, laying him down with a tenderness that cracked something in her chest. But he could have been. In another life. He turned to her. The distance between them was 3 feet and 1,000 impossibilities. "You should sleep," he said. But neither of them moved. "Here's what nobody tells you about falling for the wrong person. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not a lightning strike. It's 1,000 small moments. It's watching a killer become gentle. It's seeing a monster try to remember how to be a man. It's the way he says your name, like it's a prayer and a curse all at once." The air between them thickened. Serafina's pulse hammered. She was hyper-aware of everything, the way his chest rose and fell, the faint scar on his jawline, the heat radiating from him. "Ji-hoon. Don't." His voice was rough, raw. "Don't say my name like that." "Like what?" "Like you're not afraid of me anymore." "I'm terrified of you." "Liar." He closed the distance, not touching, just there. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Close enough to see the war raging behind them. "I should let you go," he murmured. "Then why don't you?" "Because I'm selfish. Because he looks at me like I'm someone worth loving and I..." His hand lifted, hovering near her cheek. "I don't want to lose that, even if it's not real." "Ji-hoon?" The alarm shrieked. Red lights flooded the penthouse. Ji-hoon's entire body shifted, from man to predator in a heartbeat. He grabbed her wrist, dragging her toward the nursery. "Stay with him," he ordered, voice like steel. "Don't open this door for anyone but me." "What's happening?" "The Jade Serpents. They've breached the building." Gunfire erupted below, shouts, breaking glass, the sound of men dying. Ji-hoon pulled a gun from the holster at his back, checked the clip with practiced efficiency. His face had transformed, no longer the man who'd been seconds from kissing her, but the Don who'd built an empire on corpses. "If I don't come back..." He stopped, looked at Kian, then back, at her. "If I don't come back, there's a safe in the master bedroom. Code is 0324. Everything you need to disappear is inside." Her heart stopped. "How do you..." But he was already gone. And here's the thing that changes everything. The code, 0324, March 24th. Taejin's birthday. Ji-hoon knew. He'd always known who Kian really was. The gunfire was getting closer. Serafina pressed her back against the nursery wall, holding Kian tight. He was crying now, scared by the noise. She sang to him, some half-remembered lullaby, but her voice shook. She could hear Ji-hoon shouting commands in Korean, could hear the wet sound of bullets finding flesh, could hear men screaming. Then, An explosion. The whole floor shook. Kian's cries turned to screams. The nursery door splintered, not from the inside, from the outside. A man stepped through the smoke, black and gold colors, not Jihoon's. He grinned when he saw her, yellow teeth gleaming. "Well, well," he said in accented English. "The white tiger's little pet, and his precious cargo. Boss is gonna love this." He raised his gun. But wait. Here's where Jihoon becomes truly terrifying. The window behind the intruder exploded. Jihoon came through it like something out of a nightmare, glass shards glittering in his hair, blood streaming down his face, eyes burning with a fury that made the rival freeze. The fight was brutal, fast, final. Jihoon didn't just kill the man, he destroyed him. Broke his arm, his ribs, his neck, all in under 10 seconds. Then he was across the room, his hands framing Serafina's face, checking her for injuries with shaking fingers. "Are you hurt? Is he hurt?" "We're okay, His forehead dropped to hers. Just for a second. Just long enough for her to feel him trembling. "I'm getting you out of here," he said. "Both of you, tonight." "Jihoon?" "I know who he is, Serafina." His eyes burned into hers. "I know Kian is Taejin's son. I've known since the first day." Her breath stopped. "I ran the DNA test while you were sleeping. The results came back 3 days after you arrived." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "I know you've been protecting him. I know every day you stay with me, you're both in danger. Then why didn't you kill us?" "Here's the truth that breaks everything open. Because he's all I have left of my brother." His voice cracked. "And because you..." Another explosion. Closer this time. Jihoon cursed, pulling her toward the door. "We're leaving. Now." What was Jihoon about to say? Why does he really want to keep them close? And what happened between him and his brother Taejin that makes Kian so important? Hold tight. The answer is coming, and it's going to destroy you. The underground garage was a war zone. Jihoon moved like liquid death, one hand gripping Serafina's wrist, the other firing controlled shots that dropped enemies before they could aim. Serafina ran, her cheap sneakers slipping. On blood-slicked concrete, Kian wailing against her chest. "The car! There!" Jihoon shoved her toward a black SUV. Minho was already in the driver's seat, his earlier broken nose bandaged, but his loyalty apparently unshakable. Jihoon threw Serafina into the back seat, sliding in beside her just as bullets peppered the rear window. "Drive, Southern Safe House, now." "Boss, they've got the bridge." "Then go through Itaewon. I don't care if you drive through a restaurant. Move." The SUV peeled out, tires screaming. Serafina curled over Kian, but Jihoon's body was already there, a human shield between them and the spiderwebbing glass. "Stay down," he ordered, his weight pressing her into the seat. She could feel his heart hammering, smell the copper smoke mixture of violence on his skin. The SUV swerved violently, tires squealed. Kian's cries softened to hiccups. And here's what makes this moment unbearable. Serafina realized Jihoon would die for them, without hesitation, without question. This man, this monster, had wrapped himself around them like armor, and he'd let bullets tear through him before he'd let them touch his brother's son. Who were they? She gasped against his shoulder. Jade serpents. Chinese syndicate. His jaw was granite. "They've been trying to take my territory for months. Someone told them about Kian." Her blood turned to ice. "How would they know?" "I don't know. But if they know he's Taejin's son, they know he's leverage." His arms tightened around her. "They'll never stop hunting him. Then we run. We disappear. You said you had passports? You think I'd let you go alone?" Jihoon pulled back just enough to look at her. His face inches away, his eyes blazing. "You think I'd hand you cash and watch you walk into a world that will eat you alive? You barely know us. I know enough." His hand cupped the back of Kian's head, so gentle it shattered her. "I know he's my blood. I know you've kept him safe when you had every reason to abandon him. And I know..." His voice dropped, rough and raw. I know I haven't felt this alive in 3 years. The SUV hit a pothole. They jolted together, and suddenly his mouth was a breath from hers, his pupils blown wide. Jihoon? Boss! Minho's shout shattered the moment. We're clear. No tails. Jihoon pulled back, his control slamming down like a prison door. How long to the safe house? 20 minutes. Make it 10. The safe house was a traditional hanok hidden in the mountains, all sliding doors, heated floors, and paper lanterns glowing like fireflies. It was the opposite of the sterile penthouse. It felt human. Serafina bathed Kian in a wooden tub while Jihoon stood guard, phone pressed to his ear, barking orders. She caught fragments. Double the perimeter, find the leak, I want names by dawn. When she emerged with Kian wrapped in a towel, Jihoon had shed his jacket. His turtleneck clung to his frame, and there was a fresh cut above his eyebrow. Let me, she said, nodding to the first aid kit. I'm fine. You're bleeding. I've had worse. Jihoon? She didn't move, just held his gaze until he sighed and sat. Serafina settled Kian on a futon and returned with antiseptic. She stood between Jihoon's knees, tilting his face up to the light. This will sting, she warned. I can handle pain. She dabbed the wound. He didn't flinch, but his hands came to rest on her hips, and suddenly the air was impossible to breathe. You didn't answer my question, he said quietly. In the car. What question? Why didn't you run? You had chances. The bathroom window doesn't have sensors. You could have taken Kian and disappeared. Her hands stilled. How long have you known? Since day 3. His thumbs traced small circles against her hip bones. I wanted to see what you'd do. If you'd try to escape. If you'd betray me. And? You stayed. You let me hold him. You let me. He swallowed. Hard. You let me pretend I wasn't a monster. Here's the moment everything changes. Serafina set down the antiseptic, her hands shaking. Jihoon, we can't. I know. But he didn't let go. I know this is insane. I know I've kidnapped you, terrorized you, dragged you into a war. I know I'm the last man on earth you should trust. Then why won't you let me go? His eyes met hers, and the raw hunger in them nearly knocked her over. Because you look at me like I'm more than the white tiger. Because Kian laughs when I make stupid faces. Because for the first time since I lost my family, I woke up and didn't wish I'd died instead of them. Her hands moved on their own, framing his face, feeling the rough stubble, the sharp angle of his jaw. This is crazy. I know. You're a criminal. I know. I should hate you. You should. His hand slid up her back, pulling her closer. Do you? I don't know what I feel, but it's not hate. He made a sound, low in his throat, half groan, half surrender. Serafina. Don't, she whispered. Don't say something you'll regret. The only thing I regret is not finding you sooner. And then he kissed her. It wasn't soft. It wasn't gentle. It was 3 years of grief and rage and loneliness exploding into something that tasted like desperation and felt like drowning. His mouth claimed hers like he was starving, and she kissed him back, like she'd forgotten how to breathe any other way. Her fingers tangled in his hair. His hands gripped her waist hard enough to bruise. She gasped, and he deepened the kiss, swallowing her moan. When they finally broke apart, both panting, his forehead pressed to hers. Tell me to stop, he rasped. I can't. Tell me this is wrong. It is. Then why does it feel like the only thing I've done right in years? She didn't have an answer, so she kissed him again. But here's what they don't know. Outside, in the darkness, someone was watching. Someone who'd followed them from Seoul. Someone who knew exactly what Kian was worth. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. They didn't sleep that night. Jihoon carried Kian to the bedroom, tucking him in with a tenderness that made Serafina ache. Then he returned to the main room, where she sat by the fire. I need to tell you something, he said, sitting beside her. Not touching, but close. About Taejin. Her heart kicked. What about him? He called me the night he died. Jihoon's voice was hollow. I was in a meeting. I didn't answer. By the time I called back, he was already gone. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and played the voicemail. Taejin's voice crackled through. Hyung, if you're hearing this, I'm probably dead. I fell in love with the wrong person, got mixed up in the wrong deal. But I need you to promise me something. There's a baby. My son. Kian. I hid him with someone good. If anything happens to me, find him. Keep him safe. Don't let him grow up in this world. Please, Hyung. The voicemail ended. Seraphina's vision blurred. He never told me he called you. He didn't tell me about you either. Just that he'd hidden his son somewhere safe. Jihoon pocketed the phone. I searched for months, hired investigators, but I couldn't find Kian. I thought maybe Taejin was delirious, that I'd failed him one last time. Until Kian called you Dada. Until he looked at me with Taejin's eyes. Jihoon's voice cracked. And you kept your promise. You raised him alone, with no money, no support, no safety net. You could have given him up, but you didn't. I loved Taejin, she said thickly. He was my best friend. When he showed up at my door with a baby, bleeding and terrified, he begged me to hide Kian, to never tell anyone. He said, her voice broke. He said the only person he trusted was dead, so I was all he had left. That person was me. I know that now. Jihoon reached for her hand. I'm not letting you go. Either of you. You're mine now. Jihoon! Marry me. The world stopped. What? Marry me, he repeated, dead serious. Not because I own you, but because I'm in love with you, and I need the world to know that if they touch you or Kian, they're declaring war on me personally. You barely know me. I know you're brave. I know you're loyal. I know you make terrible jokes when you're nervous and hum to Kian when he can't sleep. He cupped her face. I know I don't deserve you, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to. This is insane. So is everything about us. Despite everything, she laughed. You're ridiculous. Is that a yes? It's an, I'll think about it. I'll take it. He kissed her forehead. I'll take anything you give me. 6 months later, New Zealand. The cottage overlooked the ocean, somewhere remote where neighbors were miles away and no one asked questions. Seraphina stood on the porch, watching Jihoon chase Kian through the grass. The boy was running now, his laughter bright and wild. Dada, faster! Kian shrieked. I'm trying. You're too fast. Seraphina smiled, her hand drifting to her stomach, where a new secret was just beginning. She hadn't told him yet. Jihoon had kept his promise. He'd walked away from the empire, handed everything to Minho, erased their identities. They'd started over. Some nights, he still woke gasping. Some days, he stared at the horizon like he expected ghosts. But every morning, he kissed her awake. Every evening, he read Kian bedtime stories. He was healing. They all were. Jihoon caught Kian and spun him, then looked across the yard at Seraphina. The love in his eyes made her breath catch. He'd kept his promise. All of them. Mama, come play. I'm coming. She descended the steps and Jihoon met her halfway, pulling her into a hug that smelled like salt air and home. Thank you, he murmured. For what? For saving me. I think we saved each other. As the sun set, Seraphina thought about Taejin. Thank you for trusting me, for giving me this family. Come on, Jihoon said. Let's go home. And they did. And that is how the Korean Mafia Don found his family. If this story absolutely destroyed you in the best way, smash that like button and subscribe, because I've got more deep emotional romance coming that you will not want to miss. Comment below, Team Jihoon or Team She Should Have Run? And what should I do next? More Mafia romance? Enemies to lovers? Forbidden love? Let me know. Until next time, stay romantic, stay wild, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous man is the one who learns how to love.